Hello movie interns, I am the Movie Doctor, and today for Grand Rounds we'll be looking at the case study of Delgo. What? You've never heard of it? Well, in accordance to my arbitrary rules of how I pick my cases, one being that it was a nationally released movie, and two, I found it in the bargain bin at one of the local bookstores, it qualifies. So, let me enlighten you about the movie with the second worst box office opening ever. Way back in 1999, an upstart company called Fathom Studios began developing Delgo without the use of one very important aspect of virtually every other mainstream movie. Hollywood was not directly involved in the production of Delgo. It was an independently animated movie complete with fairly well-known actors and actresses. Now, this isn't a rare sight to see, but it is uncommon to see an independent film push past all the others and find its way to the big screen. And winning Best Feature Film in Anima Mundi probably helped out a bit with getting their name out there. And speaking of getting their name out there, this small team of filmmakers did everything they could to maximize their PR exposure across the 9 years that it took for them to make the movie. They used clever tactics like slowly releasing cast announcements and creating their own website in a time where this really wasn't the norm for most movies yet. They even released daily webisodes with developers of the film trying to explain and educate viewers on the creation of the movie as well as showcasing the animator's works. And everything seemed to be going swimmingly for them too. The actors didn't need to leave their present locations to do their filming, because the filmmakers would just pick up their equipment and go to them. Their website was getting at least 500,000 hits a month, and the Hollywood film studios were trying to headhunt some of the animators because of the apparent great work that they were doing so far. Top it off with the final release date slated for the holiday season, an animated movie like this was sure to be a rousing success. Even the director, Mark Adler, predicted that they would outperform Shrek at the box office. Yeah, no. This one went down harder than Brazil's loss to Germany in the World Cup. And I'll try to explain why this winning combination might have died in the end. Until then, let's look into Delgo and see why it crashed and burned. So we start out with a little backstory about how the winged Norrøn's land has wasted away, and how they found the land of Dramora.
Their quest brought them to Jamora.
Right, Dramora.
Jamora
That's what I said. Dramora.
brought them to Jamora.
Jamora? Must have wax buildup or something. Anyway, the Norrøn find Jamora and its native people, the Lochni, who welcomed the Norrøn to Shamwawa with open arms. But of course, just like every imperial race occupying another native's territory, the Norrøn manifest destiny themselves straight up the the Lochni's collective asses. Is that enough parallels to drive home my point? I could keep going. I've got plenty of things to talk about how our rich history of conquering people went and... No? Okay, let's just keep going. Now, the Emperor of the Norrøn never wanted the warring between the races. This was orchestrated by our villain, Sedessa, voiced by the late Anne Bancroft. And why did she go all Cortez on the Lochni?
Jamora is ours for the taking, dear brother. Have the courage to finish what I started.
And that's all we get. She's ambitious. I know when I'm ambitious and settling in a new land, the first thing I think of is
kill all the natives!
This movie's getting pretty dark fast. Well, here's a pink unicorn buffalo to offset all the doom and gloom. Alright, that should keep us going a little bit longer. Now back to the death and mayhem.
Found guilty.
Sedessa is caught, loses her wings, and is sentenced to the Dark Land? And the Norrøn continue their oppression of the Lochni. Seriously, they didn't just resolve their genocidal tendencies with some sort of apology or anything. They just swept it under the rug. Holy crap, what the heck was that?
Nothing!
Oh, are you gonna apologize for killing all my people?
Nope!
Well, are you gonna, leave us in peace?
No! But here's a nice parting gift.
But these are just beads.
Shut up and enjoy your peace!
I can respect that.
What? What?
Huh? I didn't say anything. Was.
I heard that!
Heard what, was? I mean, Philo.
I'm not racing!
So the writers, in their infinite wisdom, who clearly haven't seen Star Wars Episode 1, have decided to grace us with this as our comic relief. Philo, voiced by a clearly money-hungry Chris Kattan, has decided to yell almost every one of his lines.
I salute you! He's gone forever! Oh, that fire! The one there? This one with the flames? Yeah, oh, well,
And if that wasn't annoying enough, his spastic movements are what really make me initially start to loathe the animation of this film. Up until now, I was slowly starting to accept the moderate quality and stiffness of the movements. And I was even willing to accept that the Lockney were direct descendants of Michael Bay's Ninja Turtle designs. But once Philo hit the scene, I was done.
sorry, I'll shoot a flare!
Why is he sending up a flare? Is Delgo, who, by the way, is voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr., and he sounds really bored with his role, of course he always sounds bored with his roles, but I digress. Is Delgo really in that much trouble? How about you send down a rope, or reach out and grab him? We also get to meet Princess Kyla, a sky dancer, a Norin, who just happened to be flying by while Delgo hangs on the branch. She's voiced by an equally bored-sounding Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Need some help?
From a Norin? I don't think so.
Ooh, girls, I don't want any help from girls. They've got cooties. I honestly don't see why Kyla would help Delgo anyway. He's not very likable as a character, even after we hear about how his family was killed at the hands of the Norn. He's smug, arrogant to a fault, and the fact that he looks like a Koopa Troopa without a shell is hauntingly hard to overlook. But I get that the writers are trying to convey that the younger generation, namely Kyla and Delgo, can be more or less influenced by their parents' current environment and racial stereotyping, thus leading to the message that our youth is the future of huge manatees, and only they can prevent bad comedy. In all seriousness, though, it's clear from the beginning credits that this movie has a message to spread.
Philo? Why is that tree on fire?
Because your friend Jar Jar Derps here was written like a slinky-driven idiot.
Why is that tree on fire?
Because wacky waving arms animated flailing sidekick doesn't know how to keep his flair in his pants. So Kyla's bodyguards come swooping in to save her from imminent death, I guess. Even though Delgo was making no threatening gestures to her or anything, the Norns just kind of get their rocks off by, wait, that can't be a real character. Also, this guy is clearly evil. I mean, look at him. Red armor, stupid evil goatee, pointy eyebrow thingies.
We're in violation of the truce.
Oh, and he's voiced by quintessential villain Malcolm McDowell. How soon do they show him being evil? Because I would be really mad if they end up not showing him to be... Oh, thank you, God.
Boys, why is that tree on fire?
Laugh! It's funny! We used it 3 times to show that it is!
Let us begin.
Elder Clark Duncan here also tries his best not to sound too bored while talking to Delgo about magic rocks and how he can control the rocks, or how he can control the universe, or the Force, or something derivative like that. And like all good pupils, he must start small.
What's the point, Elder Marley? Teach me something I can use. Like what Toulouse's doing.
Did that Lockney just scream in 2 voices? Wow, either someone couldn't decide which scream was better, or that's a very talented Lockney.
He's doing.
Oh, great. I wonder what the Winx Club is up to now. Yay, she's safe.
What are you doing?
You know, the writers seem to be trying awfully hard to build up some semblance of suspense in these scenes, but they aren't paying off in the end. This moment is a great example. After Delgo saves Kyla from impending doom from whatever that was, they follow up with a false buildup of another attack which ends in a jarring stop to show off some cute creatures instead. I feel like it's their attempt at being original by putting 2 common things together in the same scene. Those things being a false scare and a legitimate-looking threat. But the delivery is poor on both accounts, and the audience is left with nothing more than a feeling of emptiness and sadness inside, which will surely haunt them until they fill it once more with something more fulfilling, like a Disney movie or something. No. This movie is not depressing me enough to need that song to cheer me up.
Sweet, my darling.
Anyway, General I Can't Help It I'm Evil pays a visit to Sedessa and reveals to her his plans to try and push the already fragile peace between the two groups to its breaking point and start a war.
I tingle with anticipation.
And what ugly, horrible, atrocious thing is he going to do to start this war? Really? He's knocking down some rocks? Rocks we already know that the Lockney can control and recreate? That's his great plan? Who in their right mind would go crazy over this?
You just don't get it!
Oh. Hi, Delgo.
But to provide hope and guidance to our village. His greatest accomplishment was not how
He just knocked it over himself! How is this supposed to start a war? Well, it doesn't, thankfully, but General McDowell and Sedessa have other ideas. Of course, we don't get them right away. We have to have the obligatory love scene between Delgo and Tinkerbell's stunt double. So these two have had 5 minutes together. Total. And we're already at this point? No montages of passionate love affairs, no big epiphany moments with melodic music as they stare into each other's eyes with big need and want. Nope, just, hey, how's it hanging? Ew, girls! Would you find my stuff? Will do! Check out my magic rock! I've already named our 15 children. Well, I guess it did work for Romeo and Juliet. But that's because it's fucking Romeo and Juliet!
Let go of the past. Do you know how my folks died, Kyla?
Well, luckily their tryst doesn't last long, because Delgo remembers that he's supposed to hate the Norrin and scares Kyla off.
Kyla!
Even though there's no evidence or guarantee that our two species are reproductively compatible, I'm still willing to try! What? No, what the fuck was that? Or, hey, watch where you're going? The General captures Kyla and then frames Delgo for it.
Wait up! Room service is here.
And Philo. Admittedly, he is a little less bothersome, but only a little.
I think we're moving.
Why are you here?
Also in the prison is Bogardus, voiced by Val Kilmer. He was also thrown into prison by General Pointy Brows for gambling. I didn't show you guys this because, quite frankly, it was pointless and stupid. Like most of this movie's scenes. Anyway, Delgo convinces Bogardus to help them save the princess, and get them out. Which they never show. Nor do they try to explain how they get their stuff back. Or why Delgo can suddenly use his pickaxe's magic stone since he's never had before.
It's sad, but true. It's the power of plot convenience.
The power of plot convenience. Not to be confused with the in-game shoehorn super boosts, or godlike unbeatable power trips. So once out of the caves, Delgo, Bogardus, and Philo hitch a ride to Cloud City, where Lando Calrissian will truly welcome them among the clouds. And while Sedessa gives her best Morpheus impression, the three argue about who will be the one to save the princess. Yeah, they actually argue about who gets to save Princess Pretty Wings. She could lose her life at any moment, but too fucking bad! We have to nonchalantly measure our metaphysical dicks to figure out who gets to be the hero.
I got this guy. You get the princess.
And Delgo gets the honor, if you can call it that. And Philo demonstrates the inadequacies of this movie's audio.
That should be ours!
Yep, that clip wasn't doctored at all. You really can't hear the sound of the vase breaking. Now, it could be argued that the shouting from the crowd below was too loud to allow the vase breaking to be heard. And you'd be right. That's supposed to be the reason. But fuck all if the movie tries to make that clear to you. It's like watching all those old and hilarious look around you videos and have no idea what you're supposed to be looking at until the very end. And fuck you for not figuring it out until then.
Look around you. Look around you. Just look around you. There. Now take a closer look. Have you worked out what we're looking for? Correct. The answer is calcium.
Ah, British guy, I can't stay mad at you.
Correct.
So Delgo frees Kyla and decides to stay around to sabotage the blood-thirsty invasion force? They don't look very enthusiastic. What, are they declaring war on Bed Bath & Beyond? Well, back in Slamajamma, the Norn and the Lochni have started their war. Our cute fairy wings will blot out the sun. You know, I'm okay with the fighting. War may be hell, but it's exciting to watch, especially when the animators imply the killing and not actually show it. Plus, the animation seems to do better when there's more happening. It doesn't look so stilted and underdeveloped. So, with Sidessa's plan of subterfuge and seizing the throne finally coming to fruition, a lot of shit goes down in the last 20 minutes. General Evil Claus fights Bogardus and eats the big one. Bogardus saves Delgo with his back and also takes a bite of the big one. And Delgo has a long, drawn-out, never-ending fight scene with Sidessa's bodyguard.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
Luckily, Delgo still has the power plot convenience on hand to finish the job. Back at the battle, the Horde has joined the fight, and it seems that the Lochni are sure to fail. But a last-minute intervention from Princess Kyla is enough to turn the Norn onto the side of the Lochni and triumph over the new army. Now, since it's Sidessa's dream to claim the throne, remember, ambitious, and everything has been sort of leading up to this point, don't you think that she'd want to make sure that every single thing that she does at this point is to make sure that she gets what she wants, including going after Delgo and trying to take him out, right? Nope, she's just gonna sit on the throne and let Grandmaster Hulk handle it. When she finally does intervene, Kyla and Delgo are both there to make sure she really wishes those wings she wore were functional again. So the day is saved. The Norn and the Lochni have all seemed to survive the bloody battle they were just in. R2-D2 and C-3PO are fine. The King is alive and so is Elder Clark Duncan. And Chewie is there too, and wait, what the hell is General Baldy Butt alive for? He was stabbed in the chest in the previous fight. He should be dead. Ugh, whatever, just get your damn overly contrived kiss in. And thus ends Delgo. And what's my diagnosis? This movie is a huge dud, movie interns, and with a merciful runtime of 90 minutes, it still feels long, drawn out, and overly complicated for anyone to have to sit through. And the pacing is obviously not the only thing that suffers. The sound editing and voice acting is subpar, the major plot and subplots are sorely inconsistent and confusing, and the characters are some of the most one-dimensional cookie-cutter displays of tropes I can remember seeing in any movie lately. Another thing that the movie seems to lack is a sense of mood or narrative. They try to hint at something a bit more serious with the occasional dialogue, or small diatribe from Delgo or Kyla. But beyond that, there were never a time I felt worried about the main characters being gravely injured or anything horrible like that. It was almost as if I was letting my need to worry or my sense of concern to take a vacation, because of how each scene unfolded predictably and without any cause for concern. Then there's the elephant in the room. the animation. It ranged from fair to horribly stilted to just plain lazy. I'm looking at you, monstrous horde. There's really no excuse for this level of oversight in my opinion. Especially if you're given time to stew on the film while trying to get funding for the release of it. The filmmakers owed it to their audience and their own reputations to take a good hard look at the work and decide if it was as good as they could make it. Money and extra development be damned. We only need one Uwe Boll in the world, and even that is too much. To be fair though, there were some good things about the movie. The music was decent, if not only bearable with the action. The races and the different flora and fauna were inspiring and pretty neat to look at. And you could tell they tried to put a lot of thought behind some of the settings, which made for some nice looking grandiose views that were pleasing to the eye. But that's it. That's all it had going for it. Now, remember when I said that Delgo had a winning combination of things going for it before it bombed harder than the mere mention of Ben Affleck cast as the Dark Knight? Well, it's not hard to see why. The movie had no target audience. The themes in the movie varied from epic tale reminiscent of The Last of the Mohicans to downright humorously dire and pandering to any child that might have been forced to watch it. And predictably, the idea of an animated public service announcement intermixed with a fun moment here and there is neither appealing nor is it winning any fans, with the lack of a big name like Pixar or Disney attached to it. And that's the crux of the matter. We are driven so hard by brand names and big magical logos that we tend to miss the smaller, lesser-known ones. I'm guilty of doing that just as much as anyone else. But in the long run, if the movie, song, TV show, or online review show is worth its salt, it'll endure and gain a following for years to come. This is something Delgo probably will never be able to do. Its message isn't substantial enough to matter, and we aren't interested in half-assed ideals. For my cringe factor, I'm placing the Delgo disaster firmly at an 8 out of 10. And it's been a while, but I'm also going to give this one my movie doctor's unhealthy movie warning, squeezed right in between those star-crossed lovers' lips. But look on the bright side, Delgo. At least you're not Oogie Loves. Well, movie interns, this one's safely behind us. Until next time, I am the movie doctor, and I'll see you in the exam room.